all about finding the midpoint, but I'm gonna, you know me, I'm gonna teach you some tricks, okay? The first thing I need you to do is put your highlighter down and grab your pencil, and we're not gonna play around. Sometimes I just have to use what I know about numbers on the number line. Up here's the number line, okay? 0 is right here, so halfway between 0 and 10 is what number?
5.
5. So in that case, I'm going to use what I know about the number line. Again, what's halfway between 0 and 1?
1.5.
No.
1.5.
It's less than 0.5. So that would be 5/10, correct?
Yep.
Okay, now I have to use a little bit different strategy. I'm going to think to myself, okay, what's halfway between 0 and 10 thousandths? 5 thousandths. Okay, how about 10 and 20 on the number line? 15. What about 1 and 2?
1.5.
1.5. And I really think we better say 1.5 or 1 5/10, don't you think?
Yes.
Either one of those is fine. What about 2 and 3? 2.5. 3 and 4.
3.5.
What about 7 and 8?
7.5.
What about 1 and 2?
1.5.
Okay, so we use the number line to figure out all of those except for number 3. Who knows what strategy I used on number 3? I should not hear that. Put it down. Well, we added a 0 in the thousandths place to help us kind of understand. All right, so let's do this one. What do you think is halfway between 1/10 and 2/10? 1.5 tenths?
No. 1.15.
Okay,
1,500.
just 1/1500. And it makes sense if I put the 0 on the end because 10 hundredths and 20 hundredths, what's halfway between? 15 hundredths. So if I look at this, 20 hundredths and 30 hundredths, 25 hundredths. What about 30 hundredths and 40 hundredths?
35.
Okay, now I want to stop you for a minute. On the decimal numbers, so starting right here with number 10, what am I actually adding to the end of the first number? Let me ask that again. What am I adding to the end of this number to get my midpoint?
A 5.
A 5. Did I put a 5 on the end of 2/10?
No.
Yes. Did I put a 5 on the end of 3/10?
Yes.
So if I put a 5 on the end of 7/10, 75 hundredths, does that make sense?
Yes.
Halfway between 70 and 80 hundredths. 75 hundredths. What about halfway between 1/10 and 2/10? If I just put a 5 on the end,
15.
so I'm just going to write the 0 and the 1 again and put a 5. Does that make sense? Halfway between 10 and 20 hundredths?
Yes.
Okay, let's keep going with that strategy. Do you want to try the rest of these?
Yes.
You're just going to put a 5 on the end. And when it comes to a whole number, you have to think of your number line. So 19 and 20, you're going to have to think of your number line. Oh, and 21. But the rest, you just get to put a 5 on the end.
5.
Okay, go ahead. So literally, boys and girls, you are just copying down 1/100th and adding a 5. That's it. Copy down 2/100ths and put a 5 on the end. Now I want you to think about 6 and 7 on the number line. They're right next to each other. What's halfway between, Michael?
5.
We are going to put a 5 on the end of the 6, but I can't just put a 5 or it's 65.
6.
6 decimal 5. How do I say that number?
6 and 5.
6 and 5/10 or 6 and a half. Okay, Anna, what's halfway between 16 and 17? 16 and a half. 16 and a half. Lupita?
38 and a half.
38 and a half. So we are adding a 5, but we have to put the decimal down. The decimal's really there anyway, isn't it? Yeah. You just don't have to write it if you don't have anything in the tenths. Okay, and 22, Genesis, what do I need to write on that one?
0 and 0 decimal 4.
How do you say that number?
45
You're close. 45 hundredths. Halfway between 40 and 50 hundredths is 45 hundredths. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I am going to time you for the right side of your paper, okay? And I'm going to give you 2 minutes just for the right side of your paper. Now, if you're struggling with the whole numbers, skip them. We'll go over those when we check them. But I don't think you're going to be struggling with the decimals because you're just going to add a what on the end of the first number, okay? Please just look at your own paper, Daniel. I really don't know what you're doing there. Okay, get ready. Go. All right. Okay, for some reason, not everyone's finished, so I'm going to give you just all I want you to do, boys and girls, is just tell me the answer. 8 and 55 hundredths. So I just put a 5 on the end of 8 and 5/10. 2 and 85 hundredths. What about right here? 35 thousandths. Did I just write a 5?
Yes.
Okay. What about here?
135 thousandths.
Good. What about here?
375,000.
And make sure you're not saying and. Okay? It's not 375 thousandths. It's just 375 thousandths. Now, if I'm looking at a number line here, okay? Actually, I'm just going to add 5. Like 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. Add 5. So my answer is,
85.
if I add 5 to 90,
95.
95. Okay? What about 8? Am I going to add 5 to 8? No, that's 13. That won't work. So here I just put a 5 on the end. Remember, there's a decimal there, though. So it's 8.5 or 8 5/10. I'm just going to put a 5 on the end of 9, but it's 9 5/10. How do I say this answer, boys and girls?
8500.
85 What about the next answer?
9500.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let's see. 90 hundredths and 100 hundredths.
Yes.
It does make sense. What's the answer on number 34?
85,000.
85 thousandths. What about the next one?
95,000.
Good. Where's the decimal on 26?
At the end.
So 26 and 5/10 or a half. 7 and
8500.
1 and 265 thousandths. 29
and a half.
and a half. 9 and 95 hundredths. 7 and 95 hundredths. 1 and 595 thousandths. 1 and 795 thousandths. 3 and 995 thousandths. Excellent. Now what I want you to do is get ready to do side B. I'm going to time you for 3 minutes.